Hey everybody, it's Nick Inman, founder of VolumeProfileTrader.com on Sunday, February 10th, and we're just going to kind of get right into it here and talk about the markets, talk about potential opportunities, and then talk about our positions that we're in. But this market, Thursday, Friday was a pretty classic short squeeze sort of thing, most notably for me at least, on NASDAQ. And the reason why was because we had other than the end of the day, we had a pretty good selling day on the NASDAQ. And you could tell, there was actually some momentum to it, to the downside for that day. And then eventually it bottomed out. And basically, that Friday, we gapped higher and then we shot. Once we got into this, I think it was the highs from 2764 or so. Once we got to those levels, got above those levels, I mean, we just shot up like a rocket 10 points immediately, and that's what really spurred the day. And then, most notably speaking, Apple, and I feel like I have dropped the ball here somewhat on Apple. I was looking to get long for a potential gap close, but this is what I'm looking at. I'm just going to bring in this chart. This breaks it down a little better. It's a 4-hour chart. And you can see the nice low it made, basically coming down earnings, gap down, finally found support at 435, where we have not touched since. But notice the price action once we got down to 435. Deep selling right at that level. Then you have an indecision bar followed by a higher low and a very nice close with good volume. That's what you want to see. On a name like this, given the run, and I see both sides, but given the most recent run down, you would have to think that we are probably going to go and try to close this gap. I would like to see some type of test of 500. Now, could I be wrong? I could, but this higher low, higher high sequence is getting a little encouraging. And if we get any pullback followed by some type of entry, meaning buyers coming in, hopefully around 461 or so, the top end of this range. If we get that and we get a good long signal, I'm going to be very tempted to take that long and try to ride this thing up to 500. And, from there, looking to take profits. But then again, you never know. Maybe this thing runs a bit and kind of gives you a good old reversal in the sense of getting those short squeezed out of their positions. And then, rebalancing and going from there. So we could see a decent short squeeze in Apple, and that is one reason why I'm looking to buy the dip here. One other thing to point out before I go into other stock names, the euro looks to be short-term topping out. Most notably speaking, we saw our high in hindsight. But once we started to roll over here, all right, our first notable lower high, what happens? We get up, we find a low, good buy bar, right? Into the bottom of the channel, on low volume and then a high volume spike buying. There you go. You have a little trend to the upside, for that day. However, in the overnight, you can see once we got to the reversion to the mean, we started to roll over here and, going to test lower prices. You can also see that level, if I draw it across, was a little bit of resistance earlier. So you need to be taking notes of these levels and just kind of watching out and seeing where it takes you because they tend to work. So what happens, here's our line in the sand here. And, those sell bars, whatever, they were decent. Then the next buy bar was on better than average volume. Not a strong close by any means, but it shows you, higher low, probably at a short-term bottom. We trade sideways, we trade up, and then this next sell bar. I mean, look at, all right, you have, this is the risk on, this sell bar here. All right, bar closes, you sell at the market at, these lows here. All right, the worst case scenario is you have your stop, maybe just above this bar. You kind of watch the price action, see what it does, but once it makes new lows, personally, I would get a little more aggressive with the stop and try to get it to break even as soon as possible. Given where we're trading right now, I would be inclined to put this stop at break even just because, okay, we're still declining on heavier than average volume. That's what you want to see. But if this thing does reverse and the overall trend does prevail, which it is an uptrend, then obviously you don't want to let this turn into a loser. One other thing to note is, look at all the times, I'm just going to go through quickly, this black moving average, look at all the times that it was a relevant place to buy. And, this was a little messy. Arguably, you could probably find a sell signal in here, and even a short-term buy signal that would have worked. But you can see, quite often, this moving average was pretty much right on the money. And here we are again, so you definitely want to be aware of what's going on in terms of the volume and, watching those buyers and sellers, because maybe you want to tighten up that stop, make sure you cover commissions, something along those lines. All right, which kind of brings me to the dollar, and what we're seeing here is a very nice reversal off of the lows here, obviously spurring a euro sell-off as well. You got good buying. We had a big move higher off of the lows, completely clearing this little balance range here. Go straight to the bottom of this one where you have some resistance. Well, guess what? That's pretty short-lived, and here we go again, right? Well, let's look at the daily chart, and what you can see is we're really just balancing in between this huge high volume area. You can see the lows, you can see the highs. Let me zoom in so we can see. And we're bouncing off the lows here, trading at 80.25 right now, so clearly at the upper end of this congestion here. We're above 2 months point of controls in a row. Your line in the sand, at least mine is 81 or so, which is that point of control from the month of November. If we get above that, then I'm really looking for a potential move, 81.75 and then 82.47 would be my targets to the upside. But if we stay in this range, then obviously you just play the ranges. However, if this momentum continues, then you should have a bias to the upside on the dollar short term. Let's see. All right, gold. This is doing what it's doing, and it's really kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. And the reason why is because it should be in a position where this thing is getting ready to move, and I still think it is. And I may be wrong about this. Actually, my gut's kind of telling me it's moving down, but my bias is saying this thing's moving up. So when I'm in that situation, I'm inclined to just kind of sit on my hands, wait for what the market's trying to show me, and then from there try to get involved. So what we have here is really some lower highs as of late and some higher lows. But in my opinion, from what it looks like, is the selling power is there, and it's shutting any move to the upside. And it looks like, in my opinion, of course, light volume is on the downside, buying this thing back up. You have some decent volume spikes on the buy side, but they're definitely leaning on that sell side in terms of volume. So keep an eye on that. The point of control for the last 180 days is 672, it looks like, 673. So use that as your pivot. Use these higher lows and lower highs as your pivot, and take your shot, because I think when we move from this level, it's going to be meaningful, and you want to look out maybe 1 to 3 months in terms of your time horizon for a potential trade. All right, oil. Let's go to oil here. Looks like it's kind of taking a rest here. I would argue maybe a head and shoulders. That's actually kind of the first thing that stares me right in the face is, okay, we have a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, and just kind of using these lows as your pivot. 95 about. If it can stay above 95, then perhaps this is just sideways consolidation. Maybe going to catch the shorts, and this takes another ride to the upside. One thing about oil is it's trending, absolutely wonderfully right now. So whichever way it's going, If it's giving you a sell signal, go short. If it's giving you a buy signal, go long, because these signals are working right now, and you want to take advantage of that. So keep that in mind. Oil consolidating, potential head and shoulders pattern on this 4-hour chart. The measured move down would be about $3. So you'd be looking at about 92 on the downside. Not too bad of a move. But overall, this has really had a heck of a move off the lows. All right. So the yen, I'm looking at a potential trade here to the long side. I know, very counter trend. I'm not going to initiate it unless if I get a good signal, similarly to like Apple. But I'm inclined to think that if we can start to get a little bit of a reversal here, I may catch a little bit of momentum. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. I'm not going to try to thread the needle because it's not worth it. And maybe if I get a sell signal, I'll sell it. But I'm inclined to think counter trend sometimes, and this is one of those times. So we'll have to wait and see. I'll keep my eye on it, and I'll let you know. All right, let's go into bonds. 30-year trending down. You know, this is okay. This isn't that big of a deal because we are only at the bottom end of our recent trading range, for the last 2 years or so. Well, I guess last year. You do have some lower highs, and you have some lower highs, you have some lower lows, whichever way you want to look at it. So you want to pay attention to that. The 10-year looks a little stronger. We're holding support here. I'm going to go back to that 4-hour chart. We're holding support here. So far we have a set of lows here, and then we dip under for, it looks like a day or so, and then we have had a higher low, higher low, higher low ever since. So we want to keep our eye on that. If it starts to roll over here, then we want to be paying attention to that. If we get a sell signal here, it may be worth taking. However, we'll just have to wait and see. Eventually this channel is going to break. If it doesn't break now, then we're going to get a good sell signal soon. If it does break, then we could see a decent pop to the upside. And let's get into a few names. All right, American Electric, you collected this dividend on this, members, if you got into this trade. Definitely put your stop at break even, so at least you collected the dividend and didn't lose any money capital gains-wise. But I'm inclined to let this run. This trend is higher, and we've just made new 52-week highs. We pulled back, so I get that. You could call this a double top. But let's see if it can retest it, and if it does, and does so on good volume, and there isn't a little bit of resistance supply, whatever you want to call it, then let's see if we can ride this even higher so we collected the dividend and get capital appreciation. But that's what we want. But we want to keep our eye on this and definitely keep your stop at break even. Facebook, a little disappointed in this. Hopefully I didn't catch the lower high of something that's potentially rolling over. I tried to be patient on this one, and I saw the move off the lows. Guess what? I didn't get it. I'm sure not a lot of people did, but they caught some of the momentum on the upside. I did not. I waited for earnings. I really did like what they reported as far as fundamentals, and then it pulled back to its big point of control. Since inception, I believe, its point of control. Yeah. This 28 level. As long as we hold 28, I'm willing to hold this. If we start to dip below 28, then I'll get a little skeptical. Then we'll probably move down to 26.65. Maybe we find some support at 27. But we just want to keep our eye on this. I'm a little, as far as from the long side, here. Okay, here's your double top. Good engulfment here. Pull back. You have two higher low buy bars. That's good to see. Both of them led to profits. And then you have a good sell bar at this double top, or that forms the double top. You get a good buy bar after that, right? Looks like post earnings. And eventually the sellers prevailed. But I want to see, are the buyers willing to stick with this trend and buy the dip? If we can control this 28 level, or if the buyers can push back up towards 32, this could have potential to run a bit, even more. And if we're getting in at a really good buy spot or potential buy spot, then I'm happy with that risk. I'm okay if I lose money on this trade, but I'm going to manage, my risk appropriately. One name I'm watching, they're reporting earnings soon. Sorry about that. Pull up the right chart. They're reporting earnings soon is Cliffs. We caught this trade off the lows. We took half off around a break even, and then I scaled out on the way up. I definitely should have let it run longer, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. What I'm looking at now is, okay, after earnings, hopefully it stays in this range for earnings, and after earnings it gives us some trade. What I'm looking at here is, okay, if these are the lows, and we have higher lows here, then I expect these higher lows to hold, even if we have a lower high here. As long as we base above these levels, I'm okay with that, and I want to see some type of move to the upside or downside. Right now you have a lower high, you have a double top, and you have lower lows. We don't necessarily know if this is a high or low yet, so you kind of leave it at that, and don't thread the needle. It's not worth it. Earnings are going to come out. You're going to get an opportunity in this name if you're just patient and take your shot when you get it. Last name I want to bring out is Potash. We had a decent trade on this, made money on it, which is good, but I want to see if we can get back involved in this. We have some higher lows here, higher highs. Here's the dip. Maybe our entry was at 42.27. After we get this reversal here, I'm gonna wait for tomorrow, the beginning of the week, see what the market has to say. We could just be buying the top end of this recent downtrend, and this could be another rollover effect. I hope it's not, because I look at other names in this area, and you're getting everything that's moving higher. This is what you want to see, and this is what you want to be a part of. Maybe CF Industries is really the one that you want to get behind, although earnings are coming out, let's see, on the 19th. So the earnings are coming up soon. Maybe you're inclined to sit on your hands there, but these names do look like they want to go higher. And, we're trying to buy one in Potash. We'll see where it takes us. So really, that's it. As long as this market continues to roll higher, make higher highs, higher lows, let's ride it. What I was encouraged about, I'm going to zoom this down, I know it's messy. What I'm encouraged about is the market's doing what it should be doing. And what I mean by that is, if I go to the S&P, the S&P point of control, 1494. Guess where we had support this month? Both times 1494. It moves higher. That's what you want. You want the point of controls to migrate higher. I still think at some time we're going to go test 1412, 1410. It's not right now, but at some point we're going to do it. And it's no need. There is no need to try to predict when that's going to happen, because the price action will tell you, and it will save you a lot of money if you wait for the price action confirmation and then go from there. So, anyways, take care, have a great one, and I'll talk to you next time.